But in Anchorage, Alaska, Elvis is alive, doing well.
Oh, my mom's going to be so happy.
Yes,
Yay.
Elvis Pigsley is just doing great. It's Rob and Liz in the morning, his radio. Elvis, you heard me. Elvis is in Anchorage, in Alaska.
Yeah, but something was
doing great. He was just picked up by the police, had to be brought back to where he was at, got out. Elvis Pigsley.
Pigsley? Why
Pigsley.
you keep... It's Presley.
Pigsley. No, I'm not talking about Elvis Presley. I'm talking about Pigsley. Elvis Pigsley, who is a pig in Anchorage, Alaska, got loose in the snow, and it's a tight community. Everybody knows everybody.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people.
Elvis Pigsley lives in a certain place with humans, and they brought him back home in the police cruiser in the back. They rolled down the window. Elvis was having a great time. It was great. I mean, the police were called because Elvis was just roaming, the roads, looking really cold.
Oh, my goodness.
Elvis Pigsley, yeah.
That's hilarious that he's in the back of the cruiser. Was he cuffed?
No, you can't do that to a little piggy.
Right? Don't do that.
Because you got the one that went to the market and the one that stayed home.
And then the one that went to jail.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
His radio.
I cannot tell you and express enough how excited I am about Wednesday coming up next week.
Yeah, it's gonna be huge. What we're doing on Wednesday is really just getting out of the way. If that makes a lot of sense, we're gonna get out of the way and we're going to let God move and do what he's going to do.
There's something that's happening. I mean, and I think you kind of feel it when you see colleges that are busting out in revival at their chapel services. When you see on a movie set people coming forward and saying, hey, I don't have a relationship with Christ, but will you baptize me?
Yeah.
And a guy from Disney Plus just got baptized at church, and all over his social media, he's saying, Jesus is my life.
Right.
I live for him. So there's something that's going on. And on Wednesday next week, we're going to just get out of the way and just watch what God is going to do through your stories of what God is doing in you and through you and what he's been put on your heart. I mean, he's putting on your heart. So there'll be scriptures from you and prayer and what God's doing in your life. So I want to ask if you would do this morning. Here's a number I'm going to give you. And just let us know what God's doing in your life.
Oh, that's awesome.
Leave it right here because we want to share all these stories coming up on Wednesday. The number is 866-447-7234. And just leave your story there if you would this morning. 866-447-7234.
I was in getting my hair done yesterday, and I was talking to Angel, who is my hairdresser.
What a name.
And I know, right? And she was, she's always asking me about his radio on the station and everything. And I told her what we were doing on Wednesday, and she said, absolutely, I am getting up in the morning and I'm going to be listening. And so I'm hoping, because she has a great story that she can share, and I'm hoping that she does just that, because I think it speaks volumes when you share your story, how God is moving in your life. Someone else hears Jesus through your eyes, and I think that's the most powerful testimony or story that you can share.
I think it's one of the most important things that'll happen this year, next Wednesday. Seriously. So what is God doing in your heart and doing in your life? Call this number. Leave the story there. It's 866. Again, it starts with 866. 866-447-7234.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
His radio.
Hi, good morning. It's Rob and Liz, his radio. I don't know if you remember this young lady, Rachel Lampa, but she recently just came back into Christian music, and her song, Rachel Lampa, I love this song.
Oh, right?
And the message in it, perfectly loved. I don't know if you just recently saw or even follow her on Instagram, but this really touched me. This one Instagram post, and I'll read this, just the small part of the beginning of it. And it starts out like this. What do you see when you look at this photo? A happy little yummy baby Leo boy? Yeah, me too, but but there's a lot more to the story. And what I'm about to share with you, I didn't share right away because it's not the most important thing about him. But it is a big, beautiful piece of him that we are so proud to share with the world. And when you read the rest of what she has to share, you find out that he has Down syndrome. Most beautiful baby you've ever seen.
He is so sweet and so happy. And I have a personal connection with this because our oldest son, Luke, when we went into that 20-week ultrasound, there were some indicators where they said he may have Down syndrome. And we want to do some follow-up tests, including an amniocentesis. We decided not to do that. And so until the moment he took his first breath and there was some testing that was done, did we know that he didn't have Down syndrome. So in that time between the 20 weeks and his birth, did a lot of research, did a lot of praying to understand what was to come, possibly. And so we found, of course, there are some health issues that could come along with that. But in meeting people with Down syndrome, kids, adults, and just doing the research, they're the most precious people. Children who love and hug and are so happy. And it was like, okay, God, if this is what, is going to happen for Luke in his life, bring it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
From children to adolescents to teenager to young adults to grandpas and and grandmas and the most beautiful, loving, forgiving people in the world.
Right. And that Rachel and her family are now on this journey with little Leo, who was just the cutest thing. Follow her on Instagram because their family's so cute.
And as she says, the most beautiful part of his story.
Yeah, it's not Down syndrome. It is just him as a person.
Isn't that great?
Beautiful.
That is great. Yeah. Perfectly loved.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
His radio.
Oh, I'm sorry. I drank that too fast. My brain froze.
I hate that.
The brain freeze thing. It's Rob and Liz in the morning, his radio. I need some coffee to kind of warm it up.
To warm it up? Absolutely. So I
drank my cold water. Oh.
I saw where this whole paper research, all this stuff was done about brain freeze and what causes it.
Oh, for real?
So I'm gonna tell you what they said.
Okay.
When a cold stimulus comes in contact with the roof of your mouth, it quickly causes the blood vessels to constrict. It is thought that the vasoconstriction that occurs triggers painful stimuli, causing the headache. Basically, when you drink or eat something cold, your head's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, that's layman's
term. Well,
term.
and too fast too. Why did they do a study on this? This is known fact.
Because they just want to. I don't think we knew that the blood vessels constricted.
I know is that when I eat ice cream too fast, it hits the roof of my mouth, my brain freezes. It's it hurts.
Yes.
It's horrific.
I know. I can't stay. I do have a cure, though.
A cure?
I do have a cure.
What?
Suck your thumb.
No, thank you.
It's the truth. If you get a brain freeze, yes, you can drink your hot coffee or whatever.
For me.
But if you are without hot coffee, you don't have time to go through the drive-through or whatever, literally, suck your thumb. There you go.
No. That's no.
But it warms up the heat from your body. Your thumb warms up the roof of your mouth, and you're good to go.
I have heard you have to do more than suck your thumb. You have to place it on the roof of your mouth.
Oh, well, yeah, but when you suck your thumb, that's what you do. How would you, this is so weird. How do you suck your thumb?
I guess
you don't.
It's been a while.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
His radio.
I have to laugh because I saw a couple of posts. It's from kids about their parents that are now grandparents spoiling their children.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And it happens.
It happens.
And your grandparents are allowed to do that.
They are allowed to do it. My grandparents spoiled us. But I did see that dentists and doctors are kind of backing the parents up to a certain degree because they're grandparents are ruining the kids' teeth because the soda, the candy, the endless ice cream, and all the things.
Shouldn't dentists be happy about that because they're getting business?
You're getting paid.
You'd think, but no, I get it.
No,
I get it.
Do. Yeah.
I say that and I joke about it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I mean, it's like an unwritten, it's allowed to kind of thing, right?
I think that's what you wait for as a parent. You're waiting to be a grandparent so you can do the spoiling thing and not much responsibility, not as much.
Scott, I got to check in with you. What did you say your dad does to your kids?
He never misses an opportunity to drop a card in the mail to them.
That's nice.
My daughter's a teenager. My son's 11. So Christmas, Valentine's, St. Patrick's Day, 4th of July, any kind of holiday, he'll send them a card in the mail. And inside each card, he will tuck a $5 bill.
Yes.
Oh.
Hey, Grandpa.
Yeah.
What's up?
Right.
And they love it.
I'm
love it.
sure they do.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
His radio.
Rob and Liz in the morning, his radio, talking about the ways that grandparents can spoil the grandkids.
Yeah, Joyce texted. Joyce said, so, you think that 3 bowls of ice cream for my grandson is too much?
Joyce.
LOL.
Joyce. Yes.
Maybe.
That would be a yes.
Unless he just really loves it. All right. And then a text from Serena. She said, look, my grandma taught me how to cook and use her sewing machine. And we spent our last summer together before she passed at a Girl Scout camp. She was the camp nurse.
Oh,
so
really?
Grandma was spoiling her, but it was that time. Like, she was just all involved in her life. So
I like the interpretation of spoiled here.
Yeah, I do
Learning
too.
how to do the sewing machine.
Right. And I think it can be a healthy balance of both. I don't think it's, any big deal. Anne Marie texted and said, giving special gifts and treats for my grandson brings us a lot of joy. So we have a playroom at the house where I have a handmade fairy dragon house.
Oh.
And then they also, listen to this, I want her to adopt. We recently built a playground system for the grandson. A playground system.
That's a cool spoil.
I need to know what that is.
The playground system. It sounds really amazing.
It sounds
and
so over
huge.
the top and
I
fun.
like this kind of spoiled.
I do too.
Not the spoiled where they're breaking the rules on you for your kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
See, in my family, there's only one set of grandparents. I was an orphan teenager, so my kids have never met my side of the family.
That side,
they don't
yeah.
know my side of the family, but they know Amy's side of the family, who happen to live very far away. So there's very little time for spoiling, but they don't. The way that they spoil is they take them out and go somewhere.
Oh, I
it's
like
just
that.
not like the break the rule kind of spoil.
Yes, that
You know what I
showering
mean?
of the love and time.
What does your dad do, Ninja?
My mom's
Your mom.
parents, when we would go over there, they would give us all the candy and the snacks. And when we came home, my dad was like, how come when the kids come back from your parents' house, their faces look more chubby?
I wonder.
Dad!
How come?
They'll work it off.
Okay, now Julie. Julie, what were you going to say about grandparents? There's something going on here.
That battle with our grandparents, whenever we set limits, they are violated. We have just kind of learned to let it go and just understand that they have to spend time with their grandparents, and then those rules that grandparents set are at grandparents' house, and they're different when they come home with us. So that's kind of our advice. Otherwise, it'll just completely drive us crazy.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
His radio.
Last Sunday night was crazy. It's Rob and Liz in the morning, his radio, when all of a sudden there's all these reports coming in about UFOs in Illinois. People were seeing strings of lights in the sky. It was crazy. Even my wife's cousin, who lives in Michigan, on the other side of Illinois, across the big pond that's there, saw the same things. She literally, on her Facebook page, has a video of this.
Really?
And you see the lights. And
She-
I can't play it for you because there's way too many colorful metaphors
Okay.
that go
gotcha.
along with it.
Right.
But she's like shocked, and she posted it. And her son...
Oh, no. What
I'm
do you
sorry. I'm sorry. Her son commented back and went, Mom, that's the Starlink.
Oh, my goodness, when your kid calls you out. That's not what you're saying?
That's the Starlink satellite.
Oh, my goodness.
But the way it looks, the Starlink satellites are like all, I guess, in a row. And so when they're all in a row and you see these lights, you're like, wait, what is that?
Well, I think we've seen satellites in the sky before, and it's just been like
Is there one little dot that looks like
Yeah.
a star moving across the sky.
Right.
Yeah.
But when it's all in a string, in my mind anyway, I'm looking at that like, okay.
Wait a minute.
What?
Is it Independence Day? What's
I
going
was
on here?
just thinking, where's Will Smith?
Yeah, right?
I'll take him out.
Yeah, sure will.
Wow.
It was, yeah. So that's what it is. It's Starlink.
I can just hear it all across Illinois. Martha, come look at this. You
Look
got
at
to
that.
see.
It's a UFO.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
His radio.
And these two guys are brother-in-laws. They are James and John. And they thought, hey, let's just challenge each other. So they challenge each other to do stuff all the time.
That's fun.
And so they thought, okay, how about we get in front of these almost 2-ton minivans
Okay.
and pull them with our body weight for over 31 miles.
Together?
So, two separate ones. So he had one van, John had one, James had another, side by side. It was almost like it was a race. Talk about a challenge, huh?
Testosterone, man.
I mean, anything to do to get a world record.
And to beat the other one is what it sounds like. They just want to beat each other. That's great.
They even raised money for it. So it was more than a
that's
world
good.
record. They were able to raise money for cancer research,
That is good.
which is good. And the wildest thing is that they both finished the 31 miles, pulling a minivan behind them, 31 miles at the same time. It's almost like they were neck and neck the whole time.
And kind of, or if one said, I need a break, the other one stopped so that they could do it together. That's a good relationship, especially, I think, between in-laws, that they make plans to do these things together.
It was really personal because John, for 14 years, had battled leukemia, and he's on the other side.
And James has been right there.
He's been right there. As a brother-in-law, hello?
Yeah, that's a very cool. So it goes just beyond if we see just these two guys pulling a minivan on the side of the road. It goes a lot deeper than that.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
So Kelby was a young man, and he was on the wrong path. He was hanging out with some people that he didn't need to be hanging out with. They were influencing him. Well, it ended up sending him to prison. And a detective that was kind of working with him and I guess, investigating and asking some questions, spent some time with him. And at the end of their interview time, he called a pastor friend of his, the detective did. And he called the pastor, whose name is Jason Wilson, and he said, I got a young man I just kind of want you to meet, maybe talk to a little bit. So it put Kelby and Pastor Jason together, and the pastor said, I just saw a young man that needed affirmation. He needed to know that somebody cared about him, that somebody loved him. So Kelby, that changed him, changed his heart. And he started trying to do the right thing. He had some struggles. But fast forward to now, that young man who was headed down the wrong path is a pastor.
Come on.
He's a preacher at church.
That's so good.
At the original pastor that he met at the same church.
That's great.
Is that not great? Because a detective saw something in this young man that he recognized as really a cry for help. He just wanted somebody to pay attention and tell him he was doing good.
Then the pastor went into that jail?
Yeah.
And then invested in that young man, and that young man is serving Jesus right now at this moment.
Instead of serving time, he's serving Jesus.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
Things parents do to try to ensure their kids' happiness really has no bounds. So Donna did something. This is such a sweet story. She went online and she put a post up. Like a job posting. And she said, I'm looking for a young man. And she gave ages like 20 to 28 years old who wants to make some extra money. I'm going to pay you $80 for 2 hours. I just want you to be my son's friend.
What?
All you have to do is sit with him, play some video games in his room, nothing else. He's 24 years old. He has Down syndrome. And she said he doesn't have any friends his age.
Oh, my.
You will not be alone with him. Either I or his grandpa are going to be there as well, so you're not going to have to caretake for him, basically is what she's saying.
That's not the thing, just want you to be a friend.
Right. And she said getting paid, not getting paid is not an option. She said the reason I'm paying is because I want to ensure that you show up. Because it looks like in the past, people have said, yeah, I'll come over and, play with him, play video games, hang out.
Big disappointment comes.
And they never show up. And so he gets excited, and then nothing happens. So she posts it, and people just started, yes, I'll come and do that. They're not charging her. They're not.
They're insisting.
They're insisting.
Good.
And then there were 4 guys that got together, and they showed up. They're from a nonprofit in St. Louis, and it's called Youth Sports Outreach. So these 4 guys show up. They want to play with her son, but they also brought him a big screen TV.
No, come on.
They did. They brought him some tickets to some things, a lot of snacks so that they could hang out at night and game together.
That just kind of shows you that there is still good in some people, that they show up wanting to share Jesus and wanting to be a real friend when they hear that there's the need.
And I also think we can't be too proud as parents or people to verbalize what we need.
True.
That we need to say, I just want somebody to be my son's friend.
And now it sounds like he's got all the friends that he needs.